Roll call on Stewart.
Tony Brown, Madam Clerk.
Miracle Long, Medical Center. Kevin Key, Live.
MC, got to go.
Mr. Stewart, Secretary of State.
Roll call officers. Cynthia Stewart, Secretary of State. Kevin Key, VP. Absent is May Adams, Secretary, and also absent is our President. Good morning to each and every one of you. You should have before you two treasury reports. One for the month of February, one for the month of January. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
Why is there such a big difference on the business money market from a negative to such a high positive? Went from negative 29 to 6,000.
Two months ago. I remember back in January. If I recall, correctly, we had a negative because we had some pretty high expenditures. And the purpose of having two accounts was for overflow. And it absorbed the overflow and went into a negative balance. So we had to resort to our building fund, which is our savings account, and transfer some funds out of there. We are in the process, when I say we, the executive board and the financial committee, we are meeting and about to make some hard decisions, which I'm sure will be shared with the body, the membership body, because the balance in our budget is at a serious crisis. And I'm glad you noticed that. And what we're working on is making some decisions and determining where we need to cut, how deep we need to cut in order to run this business. Over the last few years, we've had some building issues. We've had many arbitrations. And we're looking at cutting maybe operational staff to a degree, not a lot, just kind of tearing off. Those things will come forward later.
The really main thing that you saw there is we shifted money from one account to another account to offset this other stuff. cash flow right now. Any other questions, comments, or concerns?
Can I, any other concerns? Can I get a motion to accept the January and February treasurer's report?
Who gave the motion?
Tony Brown.
Tony Brown, can we get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Okay. All opposed? So moved. Today we actually have some guests here with us. To start us off, we have a group from Legal Shield. We have Kurt from Legal Shield, who will give you a presentation in regards to Legal Shield and how we believe it may be able to help you in some of its many benefits. So at this time, I would like to present to you
How do you spell your name?
Kurt.
Curry?
C-K?
First name K-I-R-K.
Okay.
Last name C-H-E-R-E-T.
E-E?
P. P as in Peter.
Sure.
Check.
Sure.
Maybe like a share going up.
Okay. That's what we're talking about. Thank you.
Simple as what?
And at this time, we'd like to present Kurt.
Okay, great. Well, as Kevin said, my name is Kurt Sheriff. I'm actually a student here at Ohio State. I came in and talked to Kevin a few weeks ago about just kind of talking to you guys a little bit about Legal Shield, the service that the company I work with provides, and how it can help out individuals and businesses, but mainly individuals is why I'm talking to you today. I brought in another guest for you guys. Is actually my brother, Luke Cherry. He's more of an expert on the membership. He can give you guys 100% of the information and give you accurate information. So at this time, I'll just turn it over to Luke and let him take it away.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hey, my name is Luke Cherriff, and coming out here to present to you guys today. Has anybody heard of Legal Shield before? Do you know about the services? So a few of you. I know you've had the services in the past, correct? Awesome. Okay, so our company has been around for over 40 years. We're based out of Ada, Oklahoma, but we're a nationwide service. So we're in 49 states and 4 provinces in Canada. And we've actually in over 35,000 different companies right now as an employee benefit. So what we were looking to do is bring that to the union as a benefit that we can provide to everybody that's a part of it. And what we do is we give affordable access to attorneys and lawyers. And has anybody used a lawyer before? Anybody know? Is it fair to say that they were expensive? Is that fair to say? Most of the time, attorneys charge by the hourly rate, which is, I know in Chicago where I'm from, it's $200 to $300 an hour. Nationwide, it's about that average. I know in the city of Chicago, it's more like $500 to $600 an hour, so it's fairly expensive. And what we find is that most people can't afford that on a regular basis, or most families can't afford that. So what we did is we created a system for less than $20 a month, where you have unlimited access to an attorney. And so that means you can, a couple of the services that are down below, you have unlimited access to not only an attorney, but actually a law firm. So there's a provider law firm in the state of Ohio that provides all the services for the citizens of Ohio. And what happens is you actually call into the law firm, and you get an expert attorney in that area of law that you're calling into. So no matter if it's a family matter, financial issue, an auto issue, a home issue, an estate issue, you're getting an attorney that is an expert in that area of law calling you back. So unlimited advice means you can call them once a month, once a week, once a day, and it doesn't matter how often you call them, but you're going to get an expert in that area of law returning your phone call. We also do letters and phone calls on your behalf. Actually, I have to share a couple of stories. So this is a story my dad had, or an issue my dad had last summer with our gas company. So he was looking over his gas bill, which he pays on a regular basis, but saw a charge in there that he didn't recognize. It was a $23 charge, and so he called the gas company and asked about it, and they told him it was for an appliance maintenance fee. And he was like, what's that? What's the appliance maintenance fee? So they told him that, anytime a washer, dryer, something like that breaks down your house, well, somebody come out and fix it. And he recognized, I have a home warranty. I don't think I ever would have signed up for a service like that. Why am I paying for something like that? So he simply, asked them to remove the services, but also, as a refund for the services. He never thought he should be paying that. So the company told him, there's nothing we can do about that. We can remove it, but we can't, refund you your services. And as soon as he said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and speak to my attorney about that, the tone changed a little bit. Hey, we want to get a manager on the phone. We want to, get somebody to take care of the situation. So they were able to offer him a full year's back worth of the services just for him saying that. So that was about $250 worth, right? Most people would have been happy with that, would have stopped there, would have taken that, right? But then he asked the next question, which was, how long have you been charging me for those services, right? And they told him, based on our records, over 8 years. Okay. So he felt like he had been treated unfairly. It was a service that he never thought he signed up for, and he simply requested that back, but they said there's nothing they could do about it. So what he did is he called into our law firm in Illinois, Evans, Lowenstein, Szymanowski, and Moscardini. Don't ask me how long it took to practice to say that name. But that was our law firm there in Illinois, and they were able to file a letter off on his behalf. Has the law firm at the top, and just stating his rights, stating the facts. And they actually sent my dad a check 2 weeks later in the mail. Can you read that amount for me real quick?
$2,015.
So he got a check for over $2,000 from the gas company just because he had a law firm on his side protecting his rights. So that's what we want to do for you. Letters and phone calls on your behalf. If you're in a situation where the attorneys feel that's in your best interest, they'll do that for you as part of the membership at no extra cost. Legal document review up to 15 pages. How often are we signing something? We sign things all the time, right? Are we reviewing everything that we sign? We may be reading it, but is our attorney reading it on our behalf? So anything from the small things like a cell phone contract to a gym contract to the large things like a home or a car, you want to make sure your attorney is reviewing that on your behalf. So the attorneys will review documents for you up to 15 pages no matter what the situation is. So they're going to look at it, let you know what's in the contract, what's not in the contract, even the things that should be in the contract. I've had them review a document for me, and they told me, you know what, Luke, you go ahead and you should add this to the contract for your protection. When I'm reading the contract, I'm not looking for the things I should add to it, that's for sure, right? Will preparation. When was the last time you updated your will? We all know we need one, right? But does everybody either have one or have they updated it recently to where it's up to date, right? Most people don't have one because, because of the cost. I know in Illinois it's about $500 to $1,000 per person just to get their will done. And what comes first, the mortgage or getting your will done? Right? So, your bills are going to come first. You want to make sure you get that taken care of, but you also need to make sure you have your will in place. So Legal Shield provides you a will, a living will, and health care power of attorney for you and your spouse as part of the membership. So again, no extra cost, and we want to make sure we get that in place, especially all the union members that don't have that and have families. We want to make sure we get that protected. Trial defense hours. In the event that you are sued, who's suing who in America today?
Everybody,
right? Everybody's hearing about these, frivolous lawsuits, right? Could this happen to you? And what money do you have set aside in the event that you're sued? Most people don't. I don't have a bank account for the event of a lawsuit, but what we do is we give you trial defense hours. So in your first year of coverage, you have 60 hours of an attorney's time in pre-trial and trial time. And that builds up year to year. After your fifth year of coverage, you would have over 300 hours of an attorney's time to go to court for you. So what happens when somebody sues you and they know it's a frivolous lawsuit? Your attorney's going to tell them, well, he has over 300 hours set aside. How many hours does your client have prepaid for? Okay, so that's a powerful thing to have on your behalf, knowing that you have hours set aside in the event that you're sued. Video Law Library and Form Service Center. Has anybody heard of LegalZoom.com? Okay. Anybody use LegalZoom? So LegalZoom, they have online documents you can download and access. As a member of Legal Shield, we have hundreds of online documents that you have access to that you can download and use for your purposes. Anything from a bill of sale to a rental agreement to health agreement. If you go out of town and somebody else is taking care of your kids and they need to take them to the hospital, there's a form for that on our back office that you can download and use. So you have access to that. And not only do you have access to that, but you have access to the attorneys that can review that document for you and make sure it's the right thing for your situation. And there's a couple bullet points that actually aren't on here, but we also do traffic-related issues. So if you ever get in a minor traffic violation, say a speeding ticket, something like that, the attorneys are actually going to advise you on that situation, and I've actually had them go to court for me on several different issues. So they'll go to court for you, and their job is really what happens when you do get a ticket and maybe you go to court by yourself, you try and fight it, or maybe you just pay it. The points, I know in Illinois the points go on your license, and so what happens when the points go on your license, what happens to your insurance rates? They go up, right? So for the next 3 to 5 years, actually. And so their job is they don't want those points to go on your license. They're going to work to either get the charges dismissed or work to get them reduced to court supervision. So that's what they want to do for you. And they do that on a nationwide basis. My girlfriend, she went on a vacation to North Carolina, and she did get a speeding ticket and then came back home. So what was she going to do in that situation? Was she going to go back to North Carolina? No, most likely she was just going to pay the ticket. But because she had the services, she called the law firm in Illinois, they contacted the law firm in North Carolina, and they actually sent an attorney to court for her, and they got the charges completely dismissed. And she paid nothing out of pocket for that. That was part of the service that was provided through Legal Shield. So it's an extreme benefit to have that. We also have IRS audit assistance in the event that you're audited. You have 50 hours of a tax attorney's time, and that's something that the government is hiring a lot of officials right now to add on to that and audit people. We also have, my favorite area of the membership, you get a membership card, looks just like this. I'll pass it around if you guys want to see it. Has your name on it, membership number, information for the law firm obviously, but on the back it says, if it is your intention to question, detain, or arrest me, please allow me to call my law firm immediately. So what does that mean? That means you have 24/7 access to an attorney. So do things happen after hours? You know, out of the 9 to 5 that a law firm is normally open? Definitely, right? Weekends, late night. You have access to an attorney at any time, and you can get one on the phone within 3 to 4 minutes. We actually had a member a few months ago that used it. She was out in Las Vegas for a work convention. Has anybody been to Las Vegas? It's a good time, right? Look at me. So what happened to her, she was at the casinos and was coming home late night on a tram, and there was a fight that broke out at the other end of the tram. She was not involved, but the officers came on and arrested the gentlemen that were in the fight at the next stop. But then they came back on and said to her, you know what, ma'am, because you witnessed the fight, you need to come down to the station right now and provide a statement. And she's thinking, it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, I have to be at my work convention at 7 a.m. the next morning. You know what, officer, here's my business card. Go ahead and call me tomorrow. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I need to get home now. And the officer was persistent and said, no, you need to come with us. So what are her rights in that situation? What was she going to do? So she simply handed the officer her membership card and said, if that's the case, I'm going to need to contact my attorney. And the officer said to her, it's 11 o'clock on a Saturday night in Vegas, you're not getting a hold of an attorney. But then he read the card, showed it to his partner, handed it back to her and said, you know what, man, you go home, have a good night. And we'll contact you tomorrow if we have any questions. Okay, so that's the power of having something like that on your person. So we want to be able to protect you individuals and the union members with that type of service. So that's what we have access to, and that's our legal plan. And again, less than $20 a month. Our normal plan is $19.95, and we've actually arranged to have a group rate for the union, so they get a union would have a discounted rate. And so we want to make sure we provide that through the union. And then we also have the other part of our service is identity theft protection. Has anybody been a victim of identity theft, or do you know about identity theft? You've heard of it, definitely, right? It's actually been the number one consumer complaint over the past 12 years, and so it's one of the crimes that's actually growing right now. It's not getting better, it's getting worse, right? And there is a website called privacyrights.org, and what they've been doing is they've been tracking data breaches over the past few years. Since 2005, they've been tracking data breaches, which is simply when a company loses your information. So I would ask, is your information out there? Yeah, it's out there. It's with, doctors, dentists, schools. It's all over the place, right? So it's not necessarily about you losing your information. It's about the places that are losing information, these data breaches. So they've been tracking this since 2005, and they've been tracking how many people have had their information lost or affected because of a data breach or because of identity theft. And how many people do you think have been affected since 2005? Throw out a number.
So I would say about at least over 1 billion people.
Millions, right? Millions, for sure. So this is, they've been tracking this just in the United States. So just in the United States alone, over 860 million people have had their information affected by a data breach. So statistically speaking, if there's only about a little over 300 million people in the U.S., you've had your information hacked twice. Statistically, right? So they put a list together. They have on file all the different data breaches that have happened over the few years, and we kind of pulled this off. We searched Ohio, we searched Columbus specifically, and what we found was that in 2010, Ohio State University actually reported that they lost 750,000 people's information. Essentially, your students, professors, and other university affiliates were notified that their information may have been accessed by a hacker. University officials discovered the breach in late October. So, what's susceptible to a data breach? Everything's susceptible to a data breach. This is everybody that's had their information stored with Ohio State University. So, just want to put that in perspective. But what our identity theft plans do is they're going to offer you, this is in your folder, by the way, credit report and your score with analysis. They're going to give you a credit report, let you know all your information that's on there. And if there's anything that's on there that isn't you want to know about that right away, right? And what we do is we monitor the bureaus for you to make sure if anything pops up that changes, we're going to let you know about it. And you can determine if it's you, not you. You're going to let us know about it right away. So, for example, when I opened a Chase Bank account last year, as I was walking out of the bank, I got a text alert saying, hey, somebody opened a bank account in your name. It was me. That was fine, but if it had been somebody else, I would have wanted to know that right away, right? So that's a powerful thing to have access to. But not only the monitoring, and there's a lot of companies out there that do this identity theft monitoring, but what we take it a step further is we actually do the restoration services for you. So what that means is in the event that your identity gets taken or breached, our experts with Kroll Background America will go in and restore your identity back to pre-theft status, which is powerful because I know if my information gets stolen, I don't want to have to fix it. I'm not an expert in that, but Kroll is. They can go in and they will do the letters on your behalf, the phone calls on your behalf, contact the bureaus for you, and clean your information for you back to pre-theft status. And we want to do that not only for you, but for you and your family. One of the major things right now is minor identity theft. So these identity thieves are taking the information of minors, right? And how often are they, checking their credit score? They're not, right? Because they're not making purchases. So I actually had a friend, he turned 18 and went to go buy a car, and when he did that, they ran his credit report, and what they found was, hey man, your credit's too messed up. We can't offer you this loan. What do you mean? I'm 18. I just turned 18. I haven't even used my credit. They found that he had 3 houses and 2 cars in his name in Tennessee, a state that he had never been to. The hacker has taken his information when he was 11 years old, had been using it for 7 years because they didn't check, date of birth. They just used his social security number. So that's a major crime that's going on right now, and we want to protect not only you, but your spouse and up to 8 dependents. So we want to protect your family as well, all under the same membership. So that's what we offer, the legal and identity theft services. We want to provide it to you and the union members, and because it's provided through the union, again, you get it at a group rate. So we want to protect the union members with that. So that's why we're here today. The folder that we provided has a paper application, and we want to let you know about it today. If you want the services, you can get them today. We're going to offer it through the union, and then we're actually going to set up a website that can be going on and be produced to the masses. So everybody that's not here today can also have access to that. But your open enrollment is today if you want to take part in the services. So thank you very much for having us. I'm here to answer any questions. Yes, was there a question already?
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me is, so how far does this company go, and if it's a lengthy battle with the court, that you're going back and forth. You have something long-term legal battle.
That's a great question. So what we do is we help legal situations, everything from the very trivial to the traumatic. So a couple things I touched on were very trivial situations, but obviously we know we need an attorney for the traumatic situations, the divorce, the bankruptcy, the criminal issues. We go to court. We know we need an attorney for those situations. So 90% of the things that you would call in about are going to be covered under the membership, but the larger things, those once-in-a-lifetime things that you're talking about when we actually go to court, are going to be at a 25% discount. So you actually get a discount on the attorney services when it's a larger thing. So we couldn't, so even if, somebody got a DUI, obviously we couldn't cover you 100%. That would be somewhat unethical, but we give you a discount on the attorney services up to 25%, or at a 25% discount. So we want to make sure that we protect you no matter what the situation is that's happening. Does that help answer your question?
Yeah, it kind of. I mean, my thoughts on long legal things is, things happens at hospitals where, they're sued or they try to overcharge, and those things end up being long legal battles. So you're saying that you'll give us a lawyer for 25% off if it's a long-term thing?
Long-term thing. So if somebody sues you, that would be covered under your lawsuit protection, but if you take proactive action where you want to sue someone else, then that would be covered under the 25% discount. So we want to protect you, but if you want to go to, bat, or the attorneys go to bat for you, and be at the 25% discount. So we definitely want to provide the protection for you as well.
So 25% off, so you guys provide a list of your costs of your lawyers versus independent lawyers?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have a nationwide network of attorneys, so 49 states, 4 provinces in Canada. Each state has their own provider law firm, so they cover most of the remote things for the state, but we actually have a network of hundreds of attorneys throughout the state. I'm not as familiar with Ohio, but
In Ohio, the provider law firm is actually in Columbus. It's downtown. It's McGuire and Schneider. They're a top-rated law firm just on the east side of downtown.
awesome. Okay, so McGuire and Schneider is the provider law firm for the state of Ohio, but anytime there's an issue, maybe in a different county, further away, they're going to find a referral attorney that's part of our network, and they would be at that 25% discount if McGuire and Schneider couldn't handle it in-house. So you're going to get an attorney that specializes in that area of law in your specific county, in your area as well. So you don't have to go find an attorney. We have one in our provider network for you to use.
So you would find an attorney if there's a conflict of interest?
Yeah, they always do a conflict of interest. So if somebody already has a Legal Shield membership, obviously we don't want the same law firm representing the same person. So they're going to make sure 2 different parties are represented.
Yeah, I was thinking that, if some law firm has some stock or property involved,
Right.
and you guys would have to, your company would have to go outside the circle and provide somebody that can come from the outside in.
Definitely. They always do a conflict of interest check. So thank you for having us here today. I don't want to take up any more of your meeting time, so I'm going to step out. But we'll be right over here at the table and come see us with any questions, and we'll talk more about how to go down to the rest of the union members. Is there one other thing? Yeah.
Just one thing. This is taped and put on our website, and that's why our attendance is extremely low, because a lot of people go on the website now and view this.
Perfect.
So is there any contact information for people from the web?
We can provide that to Kevin, and then he can get that out to the website.
Okay, thank you.
Does that work?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much for having us, and we will be here.
How long is your open enrollment as far as other than today? Is there a certain length of time? I was going to think about looking more into this student website.
Absolutely. I'm here today for the open enrollment. My brother, again, he goes to Ohio State, so he's in the local marketplace. I'm out here from Chicago. I'm just visiting today. So I'm here for the open enrollment today. If you have any questions or want to get signed up today, I'm here for that.
I was thinking about signing up for a later time.
Perfect. Well, come talk to me afterwards, all right?
Why don't we give church family a thank you. We'll continue to move forward. Our president Kevin is still out ill. Getting better, but I'm still out ill. Actually, getting his strength together. We are about to go to the political and legislative conference, actually on Monday morning, and we'll be headed out to Washington, D.C. The reason that we even have a political and legislative conference is because in today's environment, in today's culture, we have to have allies, and we have to have allies in the right place. Many of our contract rights, even the right to collective bargaining, is often taken away, not at the bargaining table. It's taken away in the legislative offices, in the State House, State and the Senate, the House of Representatives, special interests, lobby groups who now write legislation to roll back rights that we have gained since 1947. So we take this opportunity once a year to actually go to Washington, D.C., sit down, talk to your state representatives, your state senators from around the nation, and to present to them our ideals, our concerns, our desires, and we actually lobby them to support the things that are important to us. Stand up for working people. So we'll make that journey Monday morning, and we'll begin that legislative process on Tuesday morning in relationship to learning how we're being attacked, the legislation that we're about to face. When we get there, we're brought up to speed as to everything around the country and all the ways in which we are being attacked. We learn the legislation that is coming, legislation that is pending, legislation that they are thinking about. And then we get together, and we come from all over the country, so each region of the country goes speaks to his or her representative. They have a day, they have a time in which they're set. They actually go to the senator's office, they actually go to the state representative's office, and they sit down, and they meet with them and their aides, and they begin to express your concern, your needs, which needs in your particular area. They actually come out and speak to us. Nancy Pelosi and that group will meet them, and we'll attempt to have what we call good dialogue. Often Joe Biden comes, and he's a great speaker and a great supporter of labor. But that is what will take place this upcoming week. So we ask one for your prayers of traveling mercies, because we'll be driving up and back, but that we're successful, that we'll be able to get some support, that they'll be able to fight back those things that are trying to roll back and take away our rights. But also here, we have things that we need to do to help support them. We're often asked to flood their offices with calls, postcards, emails. Those things, one, help. That's how we help keep their feet to the fire. It's not enough for us to just come and sit in their office. When we get back here, we need you all to begin to help support. And that's the ground that we try to till. All we're doing is getting their ear. But when they get floods of calls from thousands of union members who are left back home, we begin to put feet to that conversation. When we get all the emails, when we get all the postcards, it puts feet to that conversation. And then they say, look, we've got thousands of people. We got thousands of people who think this is a bad idea. We need to look into it. So we'll show up. We'll be about anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 strong. That's not enough. There are thousands every state. And we need all of them collectively to come together. And as much as I say union members, it's not just about union members. The Sierra Club will be there, and other groups will be there, who we form coalitions with. I spoke about that last month. This is where we begin to form those coalitions and those partnerships with like-minded groups. And they too become a part of what we call a moving army, 50 million strong. I'm asking you all to become a part of that army, become a part of that 50 million strong. So that when we decide that we need to move on an issue, it is not labor who is moving, it is the nation. We have to form coalitions. We have to be good at forming coalitions. Actually, we even need to stand for other groups besides ourselves. Now, there's an opportunity for all of you to participate in such an activity. I want to say it's May the 6th in Dublin, Ohio. Lucid Technologies is about to go into bargaining. We received an email from one of our sisters' unions, and they're asking for our support. They're asking us to be a part of that 50 million strong. In the hours of 11 to 1, this coming Tuesday, they'll be picketing outside that Lucid Technology office in Dublin. If you yourself are not able to go, we need you to miss a cousin, a neighbor, a church member, a friend, a brother, a sister, someone to go stand in your place so that your presence and the presence of people are felt. Lucid started out, I want to say it's 1989, maybe 1989, and I really may have that number wrong, but 13,000 members. 13,000. Today they're down to 1,000. One. The CEO has vowed to save that company in this round of negotiations $1 billion. He plans to do that by farming out, by subcontracting those other 1,000 jobs, 1,000 that are left. That's his promise going into negotiations. They need help. We need help. They need partners. They need your brothers, sisters, cousins, neighbors, friends, church members to help them have a voice, to be a part of that coalition, to bring light to that situation. When you get the address, I have it for you before you leave. Do you still have the miracle? We'll have it. And before we leave, I can give you the address, the exact address in Dublin. But I'm begging, I'm imploring you, if you can't go, and I know most of you work during those hours, that's why we made the plea for the brother, the sister, the neighbor, the friend. Someone needs to be, someone that you know needs to be inducted on May 6th. between 11 and 1. It's a part of, if you look at your agenda, really see more at your feet. It's a part of, once again, what we call that so-called right to work. And I'll state what should be obvious. But when is the last time that you know of that someone decided that they spent hundreds of millions of dollars to give you more rights? You don't have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to give you more rights. They could just change policy and give you more rights. If they really want to give you some more rights, they take several hundred millions and put it on your paycheck. That you take home more money. Part of the reason of going to the legislative conference is to get ready for the so-called right to work fight. You will receive training. They'll teach us how to frame conversation. And that's very important, that you know how to frame the conversation when it comes time to talk about the right to work. That you begin to show people the damaging effects of what that type of legislation does. So-called right to work states, on an average, a family brings home $654 to $854 less dollars a month. On an average. I don't know about you, but if I have to bring home $654 to $854 less a month, we have to make some terrible decisions. Do I continue to live where I live? Do we continue to drive 2 cars? Do we run the gas all the time to the temperature that I want to run it? Are we going to run the air conditioner when it's 90 degrees outside? Do I need public assistance for food stamps? Can I go to the movies? Will I be able to get school kids for my clothes? Those are not things that just affect me. Because the local movie provider, movie operator, his business goes down because I don't have the money to spend. It goes down. The car dealership doesn't sell as many cars. Doesn't happen. Macy's, Nordstrom, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Burlington, don't sell as many coats or apparel because we don't have the dollars to spend. Homes begin to be foreclosed because we don't have the money to pay the mortgage. Neighborhoods become boarded up because the people can no longer stay. You have to learn how to frame the conversation. When you begin to speak to your favorite coffee shop, your favorite local eatery, and you begin to explain to him or her that you won't be able to come in anymore because you just don't have the resources. Or you have to continue to pass down clothes because you can't afford to buy new ones. And begin to let everyone see how it affects them. domino effect. You have to begin to change the conversation, frame it in its proper light. It affects everyone. People look at it as something that wipes out youth. And hey, that's a good thing. What's wrong with that? I want to work too. It wipes out communities. It destroys businesses. It turns some communities into rough places to stay. And sometimes you find you no longer want to live where you once thought was a nice place to be. Because the people who were there can no longer stay. And if you think there was a contract in place that your work environment is rough now, if they take away the collective bargaining right, and you're having a hard time fighting now to get fairness, what do you think it will be that becomes a reality? We laugh and we joke, but we're serious. We often call the work environment a battleground, a war zone, a jungle. Well, every day I have people telling me, Kevin, they want me to walk around my head down. The manager threw this at me today. Threw it at my feet and told me to get it. Those are true comments. 2 years ago, I had a manager tell a person to lick something up off the floor. That's a true comment. And the response back from manager was, well, she gave as good as she got. That's true comment. True comment. A while back, I had a gentleman lock an employee in the closet. Yeah, I said lock them in the closet. We don't know what you're about to face, but we can't repeal this kind of information. We got custodians, and this is the adage. They are here 8.5 hours. And I want at least 7.5 hours of work. I'm going to work for 7.5. Nothing less, Kevin. That's a half-hour lunch, 2 15-minute breaks, and the rest of the day, I want to work. And I'm not satisfied if they ain't working. That's the philosophy. That's the right to work. We have to understand what it means. Understand that collective bargaining gives us the right to talk about fair and just treatment. That's one of the principal things that we have in Article 8, our agreements article. You often been told you can drive a Mack truck through it. We need it because they're trying to put everything else through it. We need to be able to keep that language. We need to be able to keep a contract. We need to be able to live in a state, in a city, in a nation that has collective bargaining rights. We must have that in America today. Must. parking garage. We believe that the power plant is next. We don't know what the next entity is after that. We don't know. Because that costs us jobs. And the people who now work for the parking facility make less than those who was working there before. And they're not union members. But those parking garages were built with a lot of your tax dollars. Sold for profit though. And you weren't consulted, you weren't asked, and you don't receive any of the profit. That's your right to work. And you don't have any say in its management for 50 years. Because for 50 years they can do anything they want with it. But your tax dollars built it. In the hospital, management that directs our EBS staff has been farmed out. There is nothing, no spot that is safe. Just in case you didn't hear it, the management, the people who manage the staff has been privatized. So when you begin to manage and privatize human resources, and I'll tell you what their concerns are or how they feel about privatizing what you do. There's a race to get everything that can be got at the cheapest price that it can be got. That is your labor. That is your time. That's your children, your future, at the cheapest price that it can be got. So when I ask you, the Joint Coalition, to form and become a part of this movement, 50 million strong, when I ask you to send someone to Lucid in Dublin on Wednesday, May the 6th, Tuesday, May the 6th. That's why. Because if you're not careful, you could be next. And you'll be wanting someone to stand outside for you. You'll be wanting someone to speak up for you. You'll be wanting someone who'll hold that banner, who'll pick it when you can't pick it, who'll march when you can't march. So let's see if we can help out, become a part of that coalition, join, becoming a part of 50 million strong. That concludes the president's report. Any questions? Wayne?
No, not a question, but a comment to the membership. As of right now, we speak, we have May primaries coming up Tuesday, May 6th. There have been no early voting since the past couple months. Today's the last day, which the Board of Elections is going to be open from 8 to 12. Even though I know that we have this marathon going on downtown, there's real pain but to get through there right now. But if you can, make an effort to go down there and vote. Go down there and vote for your legislative people that's out for labor. Washington, and in the state of Ohio. Because your vote is your voice. Because if you don't vote, you know, put whoever they want in there. That's your right. Go out there and vote.
I want to give you all the address of the site in Dublin. 5475 Rings Road, R-I-N-G-S Road, Dublin, Ohio, from 11 to 1 p.m. Address again is 5475 Rings Road. And if you want to contact the person, that name is Ronald Gay Jr. You can give him a call, let him know you'll be coming, maybe access. There's maybe some special kind of sign you can bring, but his number is 330-519-6312. We are at 8:42, so we're getting real close to our time. But are there any more questions or concerns on any new business? Questions, concerns?
I have new business and old business as well. The old business, thanks for the email on the medical 100% compensated preventative care that you sent, Kevin. I replied to that email, and I believe the links that we have are available at the Union Hall if anybody needs to follow up. I've made some progress through the HR people at OSU stores about the injury and Ohio State trying to bill employees for injuries they get on the job.
Okay.
The links I was familiar with, that's still being resolved. There's some issues. We've kind of been thrown to the wolves on our benefits situation with the insurance companies and doctors a bit more prepared for codes and forms and what constitutes preventative care and what doesn't. And for the members to know about that issue will probably be something the local is working on in the future for the sake of clarity. If you could say a few words about what happened on the security issues on campus and security alerts going to the union, that might be helpful. Kevin, I know you were working on that. But besides that, there's some new business in the stores area. We've hired a couple temporaries that are working full-time in the general warehouse. They haven't used the classification system we've got, and they've been allowed to use a clerical title in place of the traditional union titles in the warehouse. And now they've hired a couple of temporaries in the stores area. I don't believe they're posting and filling in accordance with our Article 14 of the contract, which says when they have an opening, they'll fill it. And they've recently degraded storekeeper ones to being basically pickers, and picking related duties as part of the dynamic you're talking about of capitalizing on labor in the workplace. They've pursued that in the general warehouse and have reduced storekeeper ones to that level, but they're hiring temporaries to do the same work. And I think that's an inconsistency with our Article 14 that says when they have an opening, they'll post and fill it. I think hiring a temporary full-time to do storekeeper 1 duty indicates they have an opening. So I wanted to alert the membership to the fact that that's part of the dynamic in the OSU storage area. Another thing I wanted to point out is yesterday, Scott Brady, one of the senior directors of that, if I've got his title right, in the storage area, came into the warehouse office and said, Dave, have you got your second coaching session yet? Referring to the merit pay review process. And I just looked at him and said, I haven't had my first coaching session yet. And of course it was a loaded question, and they're all ready for bear on the issue of merit increases, and they're fighting about that. I'd like to suggest to the membership that we might need to go back to across-the-board increases, because it seems in the storage area that management cannot handle the merit pay process. They're actively degrading employee jobs. They can't come up with exceeds goals. That was a really brilliant part of our contract, to try to draw the merit thing into an acceptable situation for both the employer and employees. It's not happening in the storage area. And when you mention in your remarks getting neighbors, brothers, sisters, family into the union process and part of this movement of 50 million people, part of doing that is that having a credible organization that responds to workplace problems. And I think our local is capable of doing that. I got a call from Terrell Davis this month, responsive to issues in the workplace. That's framing the issues for most people and makes the difference for a lot of people. And as we get into gear here, I think it's important to realize management can't handle the merit pay that the public was after, and across-the-board increases seem to make more sense. And I know we'll be looking at that going into the next contract. But that's the input from West Campus on that particular topic. Another thing I wanted to say, John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, has had some commercials out recently. I tried to find them on the internet, but there must be a lot of money behind those commercials because they're slick. And he portrays himself from upbringing to be a champion of the underdog, and he literally says that he knows the dignity of labor. Well, if laborers in Ohio don't know the dignity of labor and unions are being attacked left and right, I'm not sure the Ohio governor, who was, from what I understand, one of the framers of the SB 5 legislation, and is kind of an anti-labor guy, he must be getting a lot of money to pull together a commercial like that. And I apologize to the attorneys present, because it's a lot of labor-intensive stuff and not on the traffic ticket level. But it's what we're facing as employees, and we've got predators in the workplace, and it's critical to defeat so-called right-to-work legislation. And if you don't believe we're being attacked here in Ohio, check out the news stream out of Tennessee or some of the southern states who are more rabidly anti-labor. And there's definitely groups of people who are out to defeat organized labor, and we are being attacked on a variety of fronts. So, Kevin, I appreciate your remarks. I think it's very important for people to get involved in their own issues and national issues, and stay alert to what's going on in the media and in the workplaces across the country. I know I sent around a link recently about what's going on with the United Postal Service and Staples. The Postal Service has a pilot program to farm out jobs to Staples workers. As kind of part of the right-to-work privatization theme, cheapening of labor, management these days sees progress in the subordination of workers and union busting. And organizing against that is critical for members. And I think everybody in the union top sides knows that. If our rank and file for the movement part of it comes together, that's when it's going to stop. So voting is critical. Keeping involved and alert is critical. And follow up on our own situations is where people might identify with the union is also critical. So I think that's all I had, but the Article 14 violation and the hiring of temporaries is a key point. The merit system not being workable for management, even though the public and management have clamored for that as something they need. They don't want meritless increases. They've spared no expense hiring supervisors and the kind of people they see as visionaries to assign data to what's going on and pursue management ideals. I think that goes against the introduction or the preamble to our contract, which says we're a public trust operated for the benefit of the state of Ohio and students here. Now, we've moved from that. We're here to make management that they've hired look good, and that's openly stated, and that's very different than serving the public and operating a public trust. As you say, tax dollars have established this place on top of our labor and the services we provide. And now our labor is being cheapened, our contract is being ignored, and if people watch the YouTube video connected with this meeting and want to fight with us, they should be here giving their input and adding solidarity. The AFL-CIO has a pretty good blog site. They sent around a poem just recently about even taking the word union back, because the media has made union a dirty word. And in the stores area, if you're associated with a union, you're public enemy number one. They use, instead of a classification system that's traditional, they use favoritism and discrimination as a means of controlling the employees. It's corrupt, it's disorganized, it's mismanaged. And be sure you're in touch with your steward and aware of what's going on with the union at the local level, and get as involved as you can be alert to the issues, because it's not getting any better in the short term. In the long term, we outnumber management by a long shot. There are people aware of our interests who are prepared to fight for us, and we can fight for ourselves. So I hope the solidarity thing continues to be pushed. And thanks to everybody for coming and spreading the word as much as you can, because that's a big part of what it's all about. So anyway, appreciate it, Kevin.
I want to thank Dave for his comments. And I want to say a couple of things, and then we'll adjourn. David spoke about being attacked. Spoke about solidarity. He brought up John Casey and the slick ads in which he is running. All of that is true. John Casey is one of the original founders of an organization by the name of ALEC. Their primary goal since its inception was to roll back the collective bargaining rights, to wipe them out in this nation. And he was one of the primary founders of that group many years ago. ALEC is actually a union. ALEC is a union made up of corporations, the business world union. And they pay union dues. You have to pay dues to be an ALEC. One of their charges is, when they attack us, is the fact that we pay dues. And you shouldn't have to pay dues. Well, they pay dues. They pay some hefty charges. So they can run some slick campaigns. They put together some well-financed attacks. The people who are telling you not to be a union, not to form a union, have a union, charge dues. Those dues have allowed them to be considered people, to win legislation in the Supreme Court and other high offices that calls them people. It says now that almost that money is people. And they can take those dollars, flood the political environment, and that makes the process fair. That their money is their freedom of speech. Takes money to buy TV time. Takes money to run those slick ads. That's called freedom of speech. It's been stated that the fact that not to allow or to limit contributions from them would be depriving them of their fair speech. Well, David also said something else. He stated that there is more left than he did of them. They do have deep pockets. I'm going to say it one more time. Deep, deep pockets. But our strength is we are 50 million strong. We walk, we knock on doors, we make phone calls, we send emails, we picket, we rally, we write letters, and we give donations. We go in our pockets, we write checks, we give donations. That's a part of that fight. That's a part of that coalition building. That's a part of what we are charged to do. For America is to remain in America. Man of the free. With liberty and justice. Is that what y'all pray? For everybody. Then we must join that coalition. And we must really get in the fight. Get active. So that's our charge. Like a path of a movement, the motion, to close the meeting and get ready for the drawing of the raffle. Thank each of you all for coming. Everybody, Wayne.
Make a motion, we adjourn this meeting, have a drawing.
Any seconds? Dennis? All in favor? All those opposed? The meeting is closed. We're going to draw. Bring that back up here, Mr. Ross.
Hey, those who want to take some home, hopefully.
For $50, last three digits is 631. 631. $50. $50. Show that 61. It's there. It's there. Oh, yeah. When you play that, let's get it back. All right. $50, the last three digits is 637. All right. I got it, Kevin. Come on. New fishing equipment today, What, 2%? Well, $75. The number is 6, 3, 6. Wow. 10%, come on. I would like to think that in this upcoming election, We have a levy for the Columbus